Yesterday you said you were speaking to people about Cuba to reach an agreement. What sort of agreement are you hoping to reach? Is that with the Cuban government?
Well, it's a failed nation now, and they're not getting any money from Venezuela, and they're not getting any money from anywhere. It's a failed nation. Mexico is going to cease sending them oil. So I'd like to take care of the people that are here from Cuba. You know, we have many people that came from Cuba that were thrown out of Cuba or that fled Cuba. They came over on rafts. They went through shark-infested waters. I don't know how they did it. And that was many years ago. Many would like to go back. Many would like to at least visit their relatives. And I think we're at a pretty close point. We are dealing with the Cuban leaders right now.
Government shutdown.
Yeah, please.
On the government shutdown, do you think there could be a resolution to this issue? And have you gotten
I do.
assurances from House Republicans?
Well, I spoke with Speaker Johnson. I spoke with Leader Thune. And I think they're pretty close to a resolution. You know, we were at 5.6% GDP, and we lost 1.5 points because of the 42-day shutdown. Think of that. We would have been at 7. Nobody ever saw a number like 7. And I think, Howard, probably 1.5 points was the number, right?
1.5 for the shutdown. Exactly right.
And it's very bad for our country. But despite that, we have the highest numbers we've ever had. You know, we're doing well. We're going right through it. But I will say that I spoke with Senator Schumer numerous times, and I don't think they want to see a shutdown either.
Mr. President, are you going to sue Trevor Noah? Last night in a post, you alluded that something could be coming.
Yeah, well, he said that I spent time on Jeffrey Epstein's island. I didn't. I mean, he's a lightweight, this guy. He's a terrible, I think he's terrible. I thought he did a terrible job at the Grammys. I thought the whole Grammys was terrible. I watched part of it. It's not watchable. But he was a lousy host. I'd say not as bad as Jimmy Kimmel, but pretty close. And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, I mean, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people that there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me. But it was even sort of better than that, because they found that Jeffrey Epstein and this sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff were conspiring against Donald Trump to lose the election. So Epstein was conspiring with a writer for me to lose the election. So right there, you know that I had nothing to do with this guy. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. You know, when Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they're only doing it. But now it's really hitting back on them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein. So I think you're probably going to see a little pullback from them. But think of it. They were working together to try and help me lose the election. But this is the Oval Office, so I guess that didn't work out too well.
Will the U.S. still provide?
Well, we get along very well with Europe. I do. Because, don't forget, I got the GDP lifted from 2% to 5%. Nobody thought that could be possible. And they're giving us a lot of that money. We have the best military equipment. We're selling it to NATO. But I get along very well. But Europe has to be careful because, there are those that say it's no longer recognizable between immigration and energy. It's there's so much potential. In UK, you have the North Sea oil, and they basically closed it down. And then they buy energy from Norway, which is the North Sea oil. So you figure that when Norway's got trillions of dollars, they have to be careful. You need energy, and you can't do the windmills because the windmills, you're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. So I'm very disappointed. I love Europe. I love the people of Europe. And they have to be very careful. They're at a tipping point. You have tremendous immigration problems, and you have tremendous energy problems. It's a bad combination. So.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Kristi Noem just announced that you're deploying body cameras to Minneapolis. What's your thinking behind this decision, and do you want to see this?
Well, it wasn't my decision. I would have, I leave it to her. They generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening. So it's, generally speaking, I think 80% good for law enforcement. But if she wants to do that, I'm okay with it. remember one thing, we closed the border. I got elected on a disastrous border, and we have nobody coming in through our border anymore. We had 25 million people come in 4 years through our border. Many of them were murderers and drug dealers and mentally insane from mental institutions and insane asylums. And now we don't have anybody coming in. For 9 months now, I mean, they actually report zero. We have 0 people coming in, which I find hard to believe, but the Democrats do that report. They tend to be left-leaning that do that report. So I assume it's true. And if it's not, it's a very tiny amount of people. But we basically have a tremendously perfect, strong border. And also, crime levels are at the lowest point they've been in 125 years. Since 1900, we have the best numbers. And that's despite the fact that we had a lot of criminals and murderers. 11,888 murderers came in. And we have the lowest numbers that we've had in 125 years. So, we're doing a good job. If she wants to do the camera thing, that's okay with me.
Mr. President, there was one homicide in D.C. during January. Do you think this is due to your efforts, and do you think blue states should see this as a sign that they should cooperate with you?
Well, if there was one, I mean, we haven't had one in a long time. D.C. has become a very safe. There was a in-house homicide. It was in-house. It was a dispute within a family. We have had virtually no crime in D.C. D.C. is now considered a very safe place, and it should be. It's our nation's capital. And we sent in the soldiers. I read the Washington Post this week, and it was incredible. They were trying to determine how did we get so low numbers? The low numbers in D.C. because we have very little crime, if any. And they talked about everything except for the fact that we put our National Guard and great soldiers inside our city. They didn't want to mention that. It's how dishonest. Because if we didn't do that, you'd have tremendous crime in D.C. And I get thanked every single day by people that work in the White House. People, young ladies, men, they come up, thank you, sir, for making D.C. so safe. They walk to work now. A year and a half ago, they wouldn't have walked to work. They would have been killed or mugged or something would have happened to them. So it's, it's a great honor, but you got to read the story in the Washington Post. They do it. Crime is way down in D.C. Now, what's the reason for it? The reason for it is we have very big, strong, good-looking soldiers standing around. And I think they make the place look better. But this is our capital, and we have a very safe capital. We had a very dangerous capital before. Yeah, please.
Sir, yesterday you said you were speaking to people about Cuba to reach an agreement. What sort of agreement are you hoping to reach? Is that with the Cuban government?
Well, it's a failed nation now, and they're not getting any money from Venezuela, and they're not getting any money from anywhere. It's a failed nation. Mexico is going to cease sending them oil. So I'd like to take care of the people that are here from Cuba. You know, we have many people that came from Cuba that were thrown out of Cuba or that fled Cuba. They came over on rafts. They went through shark-infested waters. I don't know how they did it. And that was many years ago. Many would like to go back. Many would like to at least visit their relatives. And I think we're at a pretty close point. We are dealing with the Cuban leaders right now.
Mr. President.